Greetings, lads and non-lads. Isidavasia Motion here with, not an unboxing, not the review, not anything proper whatsoever, just a thing I wanted to do. I made the terrible freaking mistake of actually buying Transformers Earthrise War for Cybertron Trilogy Starscream. I told myself I wouldn't look down the rabbit hole again. And here he is, in my hand. Guess this means I gotta go target searching now, so that I can get the 2-pack of the other Seekers. Or not. Maybe I'll just get Starscream and tell myself I don't need to get the rest. I mean, I have all the original classic Seeker molds. And for anyone who doesn't know what the classic Seeker is, the classic Seeker mold is that of the 2006 deluxe class Starscream figure. Which, you know, when you make a cursory evaluation of these two figures, you could just probably say, oh, this is just a blown up knockoff of this one. And you wouldn't necessarily be right or wrong. You know, everything about this is almost completely different. Like, the engineering is the same, but it's just like the details are completely different. The shapes are completely different. Well, maybe not completely different. The point of the matter is, as similar as this is to this, the similarities end at what you see. And I'm mostly just wanting to have a look at this. You know, I've already technically unboxed, so there's no unboxing part to this video, whatever I intend to call it once it gets up on YouTube. But I just wanted to take some time to talk about whatever I have, compare, and show off in a sense. Because this isn't a proper review either. This is me just futzing about. Because I've been under a lot of stress lately, and I feel like making some sort of video helps me unwind a bit. I'm trying to remember. This is the Universe colors Starscream. He's all white, which I don't personally mind whether he's white or gray. Gray, I think, kind of makes the details pop more compared to the white. Also, this one's been modified with some extra paint apps, which are, in retrospect, kind of terrible. And, of course, if you don't know what the 2006 Classic Seeker mold is, or you haven't had any exposure to it, well, congratulations. You missed out on basically a decade and a half of the fandom, of the franchise, I should say. Because this thing got remolded and reused up to buggery for a long dang time. And, you know, it's nice to have something that's the same but also new that they can start using and then reusing and then reusing and then reusing even more. Because this thing, it hasn't aged well. For comparison, one thing that it has these both have like a stalk on the back of them where the cockpit, the front nose cone, comes down onto, and they fold off like the back of their thing. Unfortunately, on the original Classics mold, that thing was attached to the back of the head, and therefore you could only turn the head insofar as you could turn while the stick on the back of his head was limited by the air intakes on his shoulder. New Starscream, his head is on a ball joint that's completely separate from the thing on the back. So, good on you there, Screamer. One thing that I find kind of embarrassing in hindsight, but probably also a boon, is the null rays. Like the original null rays on the Classic Seeker. They have these great big things. They have missiles. They just launch off like that. And losing those, the null rays on the new one, bit smaller, and they don't have any launching gimmick, although I suppose if you're really picky on that, you can just put the old null rays on there. And incidentally, they fit flush against the arm better than these null rays do. Actually, let's trade them. See how these... Oh. Too loose. Stick out too far. So that's embarrassing. The other problem, when you point the null rays forward like you do, this mold, no problem. The wings don't get in the way. And even if they did, these wings have this little mid-joint so that you can bend them back. On the classic Seeker mold, of course, you bend the arm forward. They're already kind of slipping down. But yeah, you can't have the wings up and flush and have the null ray pointed forward at the same time. Well, it only barely... Well, it's a good thing, even with these with the old null rays on there, that these things do bend back, because now, if you want to have them with the bigger null rays, you can point them forward with the wings swept back, and it works. Another thing about the classic Seeker, it's the only other thing, and the arm can go up and all around, and can bend in the middle, and the wrist can bend inward. The new one can go up, all around, bend in the middle, slightly further, and the wrist bends like that. Kind of awkward. But it also has one of your absolute favorite Jobby the Hong patented swivel ear joints. No mid-torso joint whatsoever. This thing is so intricate in its transformation that the entire torso is one big block. Same here. All it can do is that, which is no good for anyone, honestly. Hips, though, these, the ones on the old one, they're on ball joints. They go up, forward, out, kind of like that. Swivel below the knee. The knee itself bends like that. And the toe just sort of goes up and down. Excuse me. And that's it. New guy, though. First of all, the front thing. Got the dang hiccups now. Hiccups. Burp-ups. Hiccup burps. Whatever. On the new one, front skirt can move up out of the way, and so the hips, they can actually not go much further than they do on the old one. But they can kick up pretty good. They can go out decently. They can also do the swing knee joint. Kind of popped out there. But yeah, the knee quit popping out. I think the knee, if it doesn't pop out from the thing, the knee does get a slightly decenter-ish bend than on the old one. Not by much, but, any improvements. And the toes, they don't go up and down. They can go down, but they don't go up. But here's the best part. They tilt on the ankles. So this guy can actually do a decent A pose without looking like he's balancing on the ends of his feet. Not a tremendous improvement over the old Classics mold, but, any improvement is an improvement, I suppose. And, of course, he's also bigger, which is a good thing for a lot of people. I'm indifferent towards scale when it comes to my Transformers for the most part. Because it's this series, the Transformers, they've been through all sorts of different size classes over the years. Size classes have changed to mean different things over the years. And in general, meh. I'm gonna transform these two. Classics. Actually, I'm gonna transform this one on screen fast as I can. Because real frickin' simple. That's how easy it was and always has been with this mold. You know, just do that, fold that, pull this up there, turn it around, switch it into position. Did I break something? Or was that already broken? I'm not sure. Old mold's hard to tell. I mean, I knew this thing was broken in the first place. You know, age has certainly been the worst of it. There used to be a bit of plastic over these things right here, holding them on, making them more solid. And unfortunately, just after so many transformations, they just cracked off and flew into oblivion. And if I'm not much mistaken, there's supposed to be a tab that holds a piece in here that, yeah, as I'm speaking, it just broke off. Amazing. God. And, you know, to be 100% perfectly clear, these things also have to fold out and act as landing gear? I don't understand. I'm not going to transform this guy on screen, but I'm just going to tell you that it is pretty much, because the engineering is very similar, and a lot of these things are the same, that it's very similar to this, but I will point out a couple of differences. First of all, the arms, they fold up completely differently, which is very weird, but at the same time, I guess, beneficial to the overall transformation and articulation. And that they fold up like that in order to store inside the torso. And instead of sliding the legs into the waist in order to make them shorter for things, they open up, collapse inward, a la Combiner War style things. And the feet, since they don't fold up, you know, the forward on top of the leg, they just fold together, and those become like the exhausts. So I'm gonna finish this conversion. I'll be back in a second. And there we have it. Two F-15s? F-15 Eagles, I guess. Either way, jets. And yeah. Again, like I said, the transformation. The one thing, of course, you don't have to spin the intakes or the jet, whatever things on the side in order to be landing gear. But these things protrude down far enough that they keep the thing sort of elevated compared to the way this does. Not that this thing really needs these landing gears in order to keep relatively elevated, I think. But anyway, there they are. Overall, I actually think the Classics mold has a slightly better jet mode, only because the engines, the thrusters on the back they actually look like engines, thrusters. They can actually exert a significant amount of boost to make this thing fly. The jets, thrusters, boosters, whatever on the back of these, they don't look like anything. I mean, they look sort of like semi-futuristic jet thruster things if they were squared off and whatnot, and I'm sure if you look deep inside these little cavities, you'll see something that looks vaguely booster-ish, if I had the right lighting. But considering what happened in the last video and the fact that this video is already looking a little bit overexposed, yeah, not that this is bad by any stretch. I just think that as far as jet modes go, this one is slightly better. I like it. Not sure at this point if I like it enough to go for all of them. There is still a part of me that wants to go after Thundercracker and Skywarp. Oh, also, forgot to mention, the only place that you can store the null rays on these, on the Classic Seeker, or on the bottoms of the wings. Just stick them on there. Dabba-dee-dabba-die. This Starscream, he has a lot of different ports on him. You can put them here, or put them on the, you can put them on the wings, of course, but you can also put them on the tail fins. You can put them on the side. You can put them a little further up on the side, or if you're feeling really silly, you can just stick one straight on the top and let it fall off, you know, like that. Yeah, a lot of mounting ports. I kind of like them to be up against the side of the fuselage as closely as possible, so I'm going to mount them like that. But that's just my personal preference. Me personally. You know, you can put them wherever you want. You can put them under the wings, put them under the tail fins, put them on his back. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Starscream. I got nothing else to add, at least on this. So, we're going to be done with that. And nominally, I would just say, that's it. That's the end. Thanks for watching RCFS and whatnot. But I am going to ramble on a little bit longer. Future me is probably pissed off because he's going to have to edit this video together. And he's probably not in the mood because he's very stressed out, as is. But I do have a few updates on other things. First of all, in case it escaped anyone's attention from the previous video that I posted, I have an eBay now. I have a number of listings up on my eBay page. If you want to check it out, there will be a link in the description. Also, regarding this son of a gun, I did get the beam saber for it, or I got a beam saber for it. It wasn't the proper one, but it doesn't really matter. Beam saber is a beam saber is a beam saber is a beam saber. Still going to be missing one beam saber indefinitely, or maybe it won't. As for the torso piece, couldn't get that. But I've also decided to do something a little bit on the strange side and buy an entire completed second one of these, because I have an idea. The missing chest piece is pretty small, and I tried to find some people who were willing to give up that piece, or at least want to try and give me a duplicate piece, and it just didn't get anything back from that. However, I bought a second one, also secondhand, but from what I understand, it was complete and had the box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do to this what I did to the Gundam Universe figure, and then, you know, doll it up with a whole bunch of extra details and make it look more, you know, Robot Spirits-ish, and make a replicant piece of the missing chest armor and put it on here as part of that. And in order to do that, I've been looking up stuff online about making cast duplicates out of resin, or even epoxy putty. And I came across these things. This is Oyumaru. It's a thermoplastic, from what I understand. It's good for molding, because the only thing that it reacts to, it's like, I haven't tested it yet, but from what I understand, what you're supposed to do is that this stuff only melts or shapes in hot water. It's kind of a flexible plastic. It doesn't stick to anything, so when you try to put any other sort of plastics in there, it won't stick to it, and you can use that to create molds. And it's reusable, unlike the silicone stuff that most other resin cast makers will use. Now, I have no comments on how this stuff works, being as I only got it recently. This is like $10 worth off of Amazon of Oyumaru. Came in blue and clear. It's kind of like real pliant. My idea is that I'm going to create a resin cast duplicate, or maybe even an epoxy cast duplicate, who knows, using Oyumaru as the casting material. Put a duplicate piece on this one as I doll it up, paint it up, and make it look good. And then I'll resell this with the extra parts. It also occurs to me that I could make resin cast duplicates of some effect parts that this thing could easily use, such as the effect parts from newer robot Damashes, like the bent beam, the dynamic bent beam blade, this sharp beam blade. If I can make duplicates out of clear resin or clear pink resin or, clear resin, I'll also add it to this thing. I don't know what I'm going to do about boost effect parts, though, because this thing doesn't have any room for extra boost effects. But, all sorts of possibilities here. It's got me sort of excited for the possibility of dolling this thing up. Almost to the point where once I get it to that point, I don't want to give it up because it will actually look better than the figure that I used to recast it from. But at the same time, by doing this project in the first place, I am bleeding money and I need that back. So it's got to be done. Anyway, again, check out the eBay. I have some stuff on there. I don't have everything listed yet. I still have a bunch of carded items and some loose items that I don't have on listed yet. And then also would like anyone, if you can, to have a look at that Gundam Universe figure listing. Bid on that, please. It would really help to alleviate some of the drain that came from making it in the first place, and the drain from my wallet that's happening in general as a fact of me constantly buying new things. So, would also like to mention, since those unboxing videos, I have finally gotten to work and just about completed work on the Medea and Gao attack carrier. Now, the Gao attack carrier I kind of did a very loose paint job with. Most of this was just Gundam marker red and Gundam marker gray for the boosters and the doors and whatnot, and tail fin and cockpit section. There's probably more I could do with this to make it look, super great, but for the purposes that I need it for, I'm not going to bother. I think this is good enough for now. One complaint about it is that it fits real loosely on the display stand. It just sort of wibbles. The Medea, this took a little bit more work than this. I did hand paint rather than use Gundam marker for intakes and whatnot, and the wheels and the intakes on these things, and of course the boosters on the back. This container, real disappointed, because I thought I could, have it openable, but it's one of those things where you had to glue it in place, either open or close. I decided to go for closed, since that's that. This is just primer gray right now. I plan to paint it in the same color as the intake manifolds here. I'm also kind of disappointed. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the plastic on this is so thin that you can actually see the dark areas on the outside where I painted the intakes, so that's kind of irritating. I didn't paint this to be a super professional job. I just need it so that I can use it in a stop motion thing. And I don't think it's going to be very noticeable. It might be something that people notice, but considering that I don't do much in the way of professional or super detailed painting for my Gundam models in the first place, I think this is going to be adequate. So, good news there. I can start work on Embers of a Lost War. I've done some work on it already, but I can now work on the parts that are going to require these two models. As for the white base and Musai, those are things that I can save till another time, hopefully for other episodes. But they will get done as well. And I think this is all I have to really say and ramble on about for now. So with that all said in mind, thank you for watching. Follow the link to my eBay page, all the social media outlets in the description below. RCFS and out.